Protesters take on City Hall, calling for officials to pull the plug on a controversial concert. Sexual Assault Services of Saskatchewan reacts to a cut in federal funding. And a Saskatchewan man living in Texas is in critical condition after being bit by a rattlesnake.
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. We begin tonight downtown Saskatoon at City Hall, where a protest pushing for a controversial concert to be canceled suddenly became tense. CTV's Keenan Sarkon has more on the hostility outside City Hall.
Scoundrel.
That's weakness.
What started as a peaceful protest over Sean Foyt's upcoming concert at Diefenbaker Park quickly took a turn at Civic Square Friday afternoon.
Cynthia, you have to revoke the permit. It's too hard on our community. Can't you see? Can't you see?
After the final speaker finished up, Mayor Cynthia Block approached the podium as organizers packed up and left. But roughly half the crowd stayed back, with a vocal few shouting at Block for over 10 minutes, hurling insults as the mayor waited for a chance to speak.
It's not so you betrayed us. Shed your crocodile tears for someone else.
Stop the show! Stop the show!
You're not keeping us safe.
I'm here to help you understand why I'm an ally. Why I want to fight alongside you, not against you.
Last week, the city said Foyt, a Christian singer and preacher who's been criticized over his views on abortion and the LGBTQ community, is permitted to perform at Diefenbaker Park later this month, despite other cities pulling the plug. The city says there's no safety concerns requiring the concert be canceled and is adhering to charter rights on freedom of expression.
But if we are a mayor and council that doesn't do our due diligence and ensure that we have dotted every I and crossed every T on the legal line, and we go ahead and cancel this permit, what's to stop the next mayor and council to do that to you?
But protesters on Friday say while Saskatoon police are working with organizers to ensure safety, that safety only includes physical safety and not psychological safety they claim Foyt spreads with his messaging.
There is no formal consideration for emotional or psychological trauma, even when it is foreseeable. That omission is not only negligent, it is dangerous.
Keenan Sarkon, CTV News, Saskatoon.
A person has been shot and killed by police in northern Saskatchewan. RCMP say a deadly shooting involving an officer happened this morning in Deschambault Lake. Police say the investigation is still unfolding and are not disclosing details about the deceased at this point. The Saskatchewan Serious Incident Response Team has been notified, and the Prince Albert RCMP will carry out the investigation. Police say several people are in custody. Hey, Jeff, how's it going?
Everything's just fine.
Yeah, it was just fine. Yeah, just a little glitch there. It looks like it's going to be rainy into this weekend. Am I right?
Yeah, particularly the next 24 hours. Things start to settle down tomorrow afternoon, Laura, but certainly we've got this robust system that is really impacting many parts of the province. Certainly we've had showers and thunderstorms in Saskatoon and Prince Albert and many other locations. You can see how big this system is. It's going to continue to sort of cycle around and move north. We'd like it to move further north, but that's not going to happen, it looks like. But a little bit of that rain will get up towards the fire zones, but only a little bit instead of the lot that we really need. But we'll talk about all of this a little later on.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Sexual Assault Services of Saskatchewan has joined hundreds of nonprofits across the country, sounding the alarm over concerns around federal funding. And as CTV's Stacey Hine reports, the group is calling for action from the Prime Minister.
Sexual Assault Services of Saskatchewan, or SAS, is speaking out after the Federal Department for Women and Gender Equality, known as WAGE, released its departmental plan. It shows a significant drop in funding from about $400 million to $76 million for 2027-2028. WAGE cites the decline is mainly due to the end of time-limited funding. SAS says the potential budget cuts sends a message.
Just shows the lack of commitment to gender-based violence within our country.
The organization works with frontline agencies and community partners to provide support for those affected by sexual violence. It says federal funding has been crucial in helping expand programs, raise awareness, and support 2 research projects. Without it, there are fears much of that work could stall.
I'm worried about the lack of dedicated space given to this issue, particularly in Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan has the highest rate of gender-based violence in the country, with sexual assault rates nearly double the national average. Sass says this province would be among the hardest hit by the cuts. In a statement to CTV News, Wage says no funding decisions have been made. It says existing funding for SAS will not be cut and support for its research projects will continue as planned. Meanwhile, SAS has joined hundreds of nonprofits across the country in penning a letter to the Prime Minister, raising concerns over funding.
We can build our economy and also invest in communities as well.
Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Saskatoon police have arrested multiple people following a 2-month investigation into drug trafficking. Search warrants were executed at 4 homes around the city, including Duchess Street, Wollaston Crescent, Herald Road, and 22nd Street West. Police seized more than 100 grams of cocaine, psilocybin, Xanax, $46,000 in cash, weapons, and vehicles. 6 people were arrested and face a string of charges related to trafficking. And in another drug trafficking investigation, police arrested 4 men in Saskatoon inside a 20th Street West home. Police say they seized more than $48,000 worth of cash, jewelry, shoes, opioids, highly concentrated THC, cell phones, and a digital scale. All 4 men have been charged. Saskatchewan wildfire evacuees have been forced to flee their homes, leaving behind their belongings and, in some cases, their pets. And as CTV's Jasmine Pelche reports, volunteers are stepping up, making sure dogs left behind don't go hungry.
No pets allowed on the buses or in the shelters. No pets will be allowed on the transportation and not allowed at the hotel. Wildfire evacuees have not been permitted to bring pets with them to hotels and were left with few options. That's where volunteers like Beauval local James Dennett come in.
95% of all our work right now is watering and feeding the dogs in the community. They're safer in the community instead of taking them out. We had run into a bunch of issues with the SPSA policies regarding the dogs being taken out to certain hotels for the evacuations.
Volunteers have been collecting trucks full of donated dog food and driving it to northern communities. Dennett makes sure the food reaches the dogs.
I gave out 1 truck to Kinnow Lake, 1 to Johns Bay, and these are full trucks. And I got 3.5 at Patchnack and Beauval. Of course, we went through probably about 2 over here as well.
Pretty in Pink is one of the dog rescues bringing food donations north.
Right now we're running low, so it's been a busy summer and people have been sending up as much as they can, but with the dog populations in certain communities, lots of food is needed. So
Rodwin has been bringing dog food up north for years, but says he's never seen anything of this scale. In Beauval and the surrounding communities, volunteers have managed to keep hundreds of dogs fed this summer. Jasmine Pelche, CTV News, Prince Albert.
The Saskatchewan Health Authority has introduced a new policy that requires consent before cutting Indigenous patients' hair. The Health Authority says staff must not cut hair without permission from the patient or the person making health decisions. The new policy also specifies that cutting hair is not necessary to treat lice and should only happen for emergencies such as brain injuries or surgeries. The Health Authority says the new policy recognizes the spiritual and cultural significance of hair to Indigenous people. A 140-year-old home in Fort Capel tied to the Hudson Bay Company could soon become a heritage landmark. But as Mick Favel reports, the town needs support from the public.
This house is one of the remaining pieces of Fort Capel's historic past, a link to the glory days of the Hudson's Bay Company. The town's Heritage Museum is looking to purchase and preserve the 140-year-old building, but need the public's help.
We believe that this house is of provincial and national importance. Anybody that has a sense of history, we're asking them to help contribute.
Located on the property next to the museum stands the house once owned by Archie MacDonald, who was once the chief factor for HBC. The house has changed hands many times over the years, but much of its architecture has remained the same, including the brick used for the outside and the wooden staircase up to the second floor. It's a landmark the museum says is too good to pass up.
This is a really important part of our Canadian history, and we can see it being a really good asset for our town, bringing tourism in, helping our businesses.
The museum has launched a campaign to raise $500,000, which will go towards not only purchasing the land and home, but to establish a foundation for future maintenance without the use of public funding.
It is absolutely a stunning, one-of-a-kind home, and it would be absolutely treasured by the community of Fort Capel with a park-like setting, and it would be wonderful for it to be maintained by the museum.
The museum has already raised $50,000 and hope to meet their goal through private and corporate donations. In the future, the land and building will be used for a wide range of events, including concerts and parties. Mick Fable, CTV News, Fort Capel.
A Saskatchewan man is in hospital in Texas after a terrifying encounter with a rattlesnake. Damian Smith now on what happened and his current condition.
If something goes bad, I don't want to have to deal with that here. We want him home.
It's been a devastating few weeks for the Fairs. The Swift Current family is in Texas right now after Daniel Fair was bitten on the left ankle by a rattlesnake while enjoying some downtime from work on a golf course in Odessa, Texas. Daniel was taken to the hospital and is in stable but critical condition.
My husband called me 100 times a day, and he said he would call me when he was done golfing, and I was like, oh, you should be done by now, and something didn't feel right. My youngest son and I checked his location, and it was moving rapidly on the map. And I was just like, what is going on? And
to make matters worse, doctors discovered that Daniel was allergic to snake venom. The bite put Daniel into anaphylactic shock and eventually to cardiac arrest, and no last-minute flights were available, so Stephanie and two of the kids made the 24-hour drive to Odessa.
We just had to keep driving. It was the longest drive of my life.
Daniel received sedation, but an MRI from July 30th showed a severe brain injury. Since he was admitted to the hospital, his organs have almost fully healed, but the brain remains swollen. It's still a day-to-day process, with family members being tested.
Us kids are definitely going to grow up a lot faster so quickly. My brother stepped in as the man of the house. He's helping pay for things and provide, and then my little brother just grown up too quickly.
Because Daniel is a Canadian working in the United States and didn't have insurance, the family is facing massive medical bills as a result. A GoFundMe has been raised.
We just we're really relying on the kindness of strangers, and Saskatchewan is a wonderful place. I'm just hoping they can rally to help our family somehow.
Damian Smith, CTV News, Regina.
The United Church of Canada apologized to the LGBTQ community for past decades of exclusion and discrimination. The apology was issued during a general council meeting in Calgary and live streamed to congregations across Canada. In Regina, church members gathered at Lakeview United Church to hear the apology and the pledge to work towards a more inclusive future.
And so we're affirming today that we just really accept all people for who they are, that we want to let all people know they are beloved children of God, and that our work is not done.
The apology follows a decade of consultations about the experiences of the Two-Spirit and LGBTQ community within the United Church of Canada. Well, it's been a long time since the CFL had its only licensed video game back in 1999, but one Saskatchewan video gamer is giving fans the opportunity to play as their favorite team and players. Donovan Mace explains how.
Nelson Hakowicz has been a CFL fan for as long as he can remember.
The
1997 Grey Cup's memorable. You could even go back further than that. In 95, the Grey Cup was on my birthday. There's always a Grey Cup parade, and I thought they had a parade for my birthday.
But when he fell in love with video games, he realized his favorite league was always missing.
I would always play as the Packers because they were green.
So he made do.
I want to play with the teams and the players that I know and love, and that's only happened once.
Till he learned how to create them.
T.J. for Baker, touchdown.
Using the mods and team builders, Hackowich has painstakingly input each CFL team, their logos, jerseys, and full rosters into a video game.
This will be the 21st year I've modded some version of Madden or college football to be the CFL.
A process which takes multiple hours for each club, but he never really got to share his creations with anyone but his dad.
He would stop the game, I have to change this. And then 2 hours later, Dad, come back and play. Right?
Before a new option to download other people's creations, including Hackowich's CFL.
You get the game and you get the itch to play as the Riders or, recreate the Labor Day Classic.
Since College Football 26 was released last month, Hackowich says there have been more than 100 downloads of his creations.
He'll start this drive with a pass.
As fans across the country finally have a way to play as their favorite team.
It's still 4 downs, but it's a passion project, really. Not getting paid for it. I'm doing it because I love the CFL.
With recent talk of growing the Canadian game, Hackowich says he's just doing his part.
Would you like to see maybe the CFL make a stab at making a video game themselves, maybe?
It's a pipe dream, but I'd love to see it one day.
Donovan May, CTV News, Regina.
With construction season in full effect, the government of Saskatchewan wants to remind drivers to slow down with the help of the Highways Hotline app. Brittany Poitras has more.
Summer is always a busy time for highway travel, but it also opens a short window for road repairs.
That's why you see a lot of construction happening in the province of Saskatchewan through the summer season. We have over 26,000 kilometers of highway network to maintain and preserve here in the province of Saskatchewan.
The construction zones are very active, complex environments, even though they may not look as such. Workers, equipment, and machinery are often operating just feet away from live traffic.
They want to remind motorists to use resources like the Highway Hotline app and website to plan their trips. There, drivers can see if there are any significant construction projects to keep an eye out for in the second half of the summer and into the fall.
What they will see is where the orange zone is, where the construction is, and what highway it's on. It'll tell you the start date. It'll give you an approximate end date on when that project will be done.
The website currently lists 35 active construction zones in Saskatchewan where speeds are reduced.
Every sign, every cone, every reduced speed limit is there for one reason, and that's to make sure that everybody gets home safely, both workers and drivers alike.
SGI's website says the chance of being killed in a collision at 80 kilometers per hour is 2 times higher than if you were traveling at 64 kilometers per hour, which is why construction zones are set at 60. The message from officials echoed by those who work on the highways every day.
Slow down. If it says to slow to 60, it's there for a reason, because we're also trying to get home safe, not trying to delay you, not trying to be an inconvenience, just trying to make sure that we've got it all safe for everybody.
Brittany Poitras, CTV News, Regina.
Still to come on CTV News, advanced polls open in an Alberta by-election where Pierre Poilievre is running, and the Canadian teen takes the title and the tennis world by storm. You're watching CTV News live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us. Advanced polls are now open in an Alberta by-election that could have Pierre Poilievre return to the House of Commons. Poilievre is a candidate after losing his Ottawa seat in the April federal election. He's running against more than 200 other people, making it the largest number of candidates on a federal ballot in Canadian history. The majority are part of a protest group calling for changes to the electoral system. Elections Canada changed its regular ballot. Voters in this by-election must handwrite the name of their preferred candidate in a blank space. Advanced polling will run until Monday. Well, the tennis world is still buzzing after that stunning win last night by 18-year-old Victoria Mboko. And as CTV's John Venevali-Rao reports, she has her sights set on the U.S. Open later this month.
For Victoria Mboko, it was a magical moment and the stunning end to a fairy tale run in Montreal.
I think when I had that winning moment and seeing so many people standing up and cheering for me, it was kind of a surreal experience.
Mboko taking the tennis world by storm after beating the former world #1 Naomi Osaka. Among the 4 Grand Slam champions, the 18-year-old unexpectedly bested to get to the top at the Canadian Open.
Honestly, I would have never believed that I was going to end up in this exact moment, so it's just amazing.
On social media, now retired Canadian tennis star Eugenie Bouchard simply writing, Vicky.
She was very passionate about playing.
In Burlington, Ontario, her former coach said Mboko started playing tennis when she was around 4 years old. And from the outset, he says her competitive spirit was notable, constantly wanting to beat her much older siblings.
Even from a tender age of 5 or 6, when she was on the court training, she was very locked in. Unusually so for somebody that young.
Mboko was born in North Carolina to Congolese parents, but grew up in Toronto, and until recently was largely unknown, getting a bit of attention in late May when she made it to the 3rd round of the French Open. This time last year, Mboko was ranked 351st in the world, but has now jumped to 24th and is the highest-ranked Canadian player, beating Osaka Thursday while playing with a wrist injury that had her at the hospital getting an MRI before that final match, making the win even more remarkable.
We've seen tennis players miss an entire season with a wrist injury.
Mboko will now take a few days off to look after that wrist and get ready for the U.S. Open, which begins in about 2 weeks. John Venevali-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Well, the job market is tough for a growing number of Canadians this summer, especially young people. 41,000 jobs were lost in July, driven largely by people in their late teens and early 20s. CTV's Abigail Bimman has the latest snapshot of the Canadian economy.
Noah Kelly has been applying everywhere with no luck, and the timing is urgent.
I'm getting evicted because I lost my last job, and now I can't make my rent.
The unemployment rate for those 15 to 24 hit 14.6 in July. That's the highest since 2010, excluding 2 COVID years.
It's been incredibly difficult to find a job, especially as a person who doesn't have experience previously.
Overall, there were 41,000 job losses in July compared to 83,000 gains in June. Hardest hit, full-time workers, down 51,000. The Prime Minister pointed to wage growth as a good sign.
That, combined with the tax cut that we put in place, combined with the removal of the consumer carbon tax and other measures, progress on cost of living. Just to be clear, progress. We're not satisfied that that's enough. There's much more that needs to be done.
But these government workers involved in student hiring say Mark Carney's looming savings targets are already making a difference in their departments.
Hiring this summer has been difficult. You have to look at every specific detail and make sure that this student can be funded.
Less departments are interested because they have less money, they have to cut spending.
Perhaps surprisingly, with the trade war, manufacturing jobs didn't see a big hit, with RBC economists saying CUSMA has softened the blow.
Things are definitely softer. This is not an ideal environment by any sense, but perhaps it's just not as severe of a shock as, what was feared earlier in the spring.
RBC cautiously optimistic that unemployment rate will peak soon, around 7%, and also predicting no further interest rate cuts from the Bank of Canada. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
A Calgary man is speaking out tonight after his Air Miles account was drained of nearly 25,000 points, about $8,000. CTV's Mark Villani explains why and his call on the company to make things right.
Todd Woodbeck has been collecting air miles for over 30 years, but says his longtime loyalty was erased in a flash.
I was very angry. Very angry. I mean, I picked up the phone immediately and called Air Miles.
Woodbeck says he hadn't used his Air Miles card in some time until earlier this year when he swiped it at a Shell gas station. He got 2 miles for that purchase, but when he logged into his account, nearly 25,000 points were gone. The equivalent of about $8,000 vanished because of more than 2 years of inactivity. Woodbeck had also spent over $1,500 buying extra miles for travel, now all lost.
I mean, come on, a loyal customer for 35 plus years.
Air Miles confirms the points were not expired, but retired due to inactivity. To maintain an active account, collectors must earn, redeem, or transfer miles within 24 months. If no activity occurs, the account will be considered inactive. As part of our commitment to transparency, collectors are proactively notified before any changes to their account status.
They have my address, they have my phone number. I never got anything in the mail. I never got a call.
Loyalty rewards experts say cases like Woodbeck's aren't uncommon, but they serve as a wake-up call for all collectors to stay engaged with their accounts.
I tell a lot of people to treat their loyalty program accounts kind of like their bank accounts, that you should be checking them, relatively frequently. And it's not just for the expiry, it's even for fraud.
But Woodbeck hopes his spending didn't go to waste, encouraging others to stay vigilant and calling on Air Miles to reimburse him.
Do the right thing.
Hey, y'all, Paul Strickland here with age-old tales for all ages at the Saskatoon Fringe Festival. It's so good to be back in Saskatoon telling stories, reupholstered folk tales for all ages, people that are children and people who have not been children for a very long time. I'm going to be telling some stories about people at different seasons in their life, and I'm going to be telling stories about what to do with both fair and poor weather friends. So my big question is, what's the weather going to be like?
Well, Mr. Strickland, perfect for indoor consumption of theater because it'll be a little, well, let's say on the gray side because the clouds are expected to be hanging around and the rain should have stopped by then. Your show, of course, not at the Broadway Theater, but not too far away at the Refinery. And on a personal, I'll simply say I've seen Paul's shows in previous Fringes a couple of times. Terrific show. So his show is tomorrow. Last show is going to be 12 noon. And so you can check that out, as I say, at the Refinery. 19 degrees for a daytime high, so around noon, it'll probably be about 17 or 18 degrees. And as I said, showers tapering off. And for more information on Paul's show or the other shows, tomorrow's the last day of the Fringe, and there's still shows tonight, of course, 25thstreettheater.org. Quick look at our current temperature, starting off with Saskatoon, 18 degrees, where it's some light showers, a similar situation in Prince Albert, and maybe a bit more in the way of intense rain in the Battlefords. And as you can see, the winds aren't really strong right now. We'll call them moderate. Okay, here we go for Saskatoon's almanac, 19 for a high today. That is 7 degrees below seasonal, but that's 10 degrees below the record temperature of 36 in 1940, so that was not nearly in jeopardy at all. 2 degrees the record temperature on this date in 1926, and the sun is going to go down at 8:45.
Coming up, a look at a community pit stop, a free little library now stocked with tiny cars.
Ooh, it's like a scene from Poltergeist or some other Spielbergian film. But this was an image from my front door at about 2 in the morning. And yes, rain was coming down pretty hard in Saskatoon, some places. I checked my rain gauge and I talked to some other people. And maybe about 2 inches of rain in the city. And of course, some places did have a bit of a power outage. Didn't last long early this morning, around 6:30 in the morning, thereabouts. But it's been an a day where this inclement weather has been on again, off again. again, it's a fairly robust system. But right now, not a lot of active weather, some light showers in the area. But let's take a look at that satellite and radar shot here. And here's what I'm talking about. It's a fairly widespread system. And as I mentioned, I've used the word robust, and I'll continue to use it because it's catchy. You can see that it's moving in that counterclockwise circular situation where we're seeing this system slowly, ever so slowly, inch northward. We'd like it to go much farther north to help with those wildfires, but it looks as though that situation might just be grazing the wildfire area. So light showers in Saskatoon and Prince Albert, a bit more in the way of rain in the Battlefords. As we make a look at our hot spot, that was Stony Rapids at 27. Stony Rapids was also the cold spot at 9, but tying with Cypress Hills Provincial Park. Let's take a look and see what we've got going on here in current temperatures for our larger communities. 18 degrees in Lloydminster, 15 in Swift Current, 20 in Moose Jaw, 21 in Regina, 14 in Yorkton, and 16 in Estevan. In central parts of the province, temperatures in the teens, ranging from 14 degrees right now in Wynyard. It gets as warm as 19, and that's in Rosetown and Hudson Bay, 17 in Meadow Lake, 16 in Kindersley. Up north into the low to high 20s, you can see Stony Rapids still quite toasty at 27 degrees, 21 in Buffalo Narrows, 22 in La Ronge and Sandy Bay Island Falls. And down south, a mix of temperatures ranging from 14 degrees in a couple of locations, East End and Melville, up to 21, and that's in Broadview. It's 20 in Indian Head. A lot of other places sort of hanging around that 17 or 18 degree mark. On to our future cast, and as you can see, that center of that low continues to move, but ever so slowly into Manitoba, so we're going to see how that will impact Manitoba and Northern Ontario, because there could be some nasty storms there as well. And in behind it, things start to lighten up in Saskatchewan, but some places may still be dealing with some scattered showers. We have rainfall warnings in effect for Prince Albert, Melfort, Tisdale areas over towards Greenwater and the Manitoba border, and we do have a watch box in place in southern Saskatchewan, and so some places still dealing with the possibility in the Stoughton area of a severe thunderstorm warning. Around the province we go, temperatures in the low to high 20s in northern Saskatchewan with a mix of sky conditions, a bit consistent, more consistent temperature range in and around 23 degrees for west central Saskatchewan, Spiritwood and Rosetown, anticipating some showers. Showers expected throughout much of the southwest with temperatures in the high teens, low 20s. Temperatures in the high teens for southeastern Saskatchewan with rain expected throughout the region, and that's quite true of east central Saskatchewan as well. The Battleford's dropping down to 14 tonight, 23 tomorrow. A risk of a thunderstorm, but less of a chance of rain as we roll into Saturday. Sunday, 24, and then 23 on Monday and Tuesday. For Prince Albert, an overnight temperature of 13 degrees. The air quality is going to remain on the high risk side of things overnight into tomorrow. So a fairly soggy situation. And then 25 degrees on Sunday, Monday 22, and then cooling off a bit as we head towards Thursday with a high of just 17. And Saskatoon, 14 degrees, 10 to 20 millimeters of rain in the overnight. Less chance, as I said, wrapping up probably around noon. But once again, the air quality will be impacted, expecting it to be on the high risk side of things as the wind shifts around and we see more of that smoke coming south. And then 24 degrees on Sunday, 23 on Monday and Tuesday, and 22 on Wednesday. Beyonce might have a song titled Levi's Jeans, but her connection to that particular article of clothing just got a bit more formal. This is the latest ad shared to social media called The Denim Cowboy. One thing that stands out, she rides up on a horse at the beginning, but she's seen driving off on a motorcycle at the very end. Some fans believe it's a subtle hint that her widely anticipated next album will be rock-themed.
I felt it was important to join with our first responders to help secure the safety of all Americans, not just talk about it. So I joined up.
Well, he became famous on television as a popular superhero, standing up for truth, justice, and the American way. Now, former Superman actor Dean Cain will be rounding up migrants to be deported. Cain has encouraged members of the public to join following a recruitment drive by the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency known as ICE. By the way, ICE agents aren't generally considered to be first responders. Following the death of Ozzy Osbourne, reports of this week suggest a film about his life is moving ahead. Back in 2021, Sony announced it was planning to make a biopic about the rock legend and his wife and manager, Sharon Osbourne. Few updates have been provided since then, but a representative for the companies behind the effort told Variety this week the project is still active and negotiations are underway with the director. Ozzy Osbourne died of a heart attack last month at the age of 76.
All right, Jeff, did we get any pictures of the rain?
You know what? We didn't get a lot of pictures of the rain, but we do have plenty of other pictures that sort of, at least in some respects, talk about after the rain. Well, look at this one. This was from Lorraine and S for Sky. This showed up last week when my son, whose name begins with S, was visiting me in Saskatoon from Belgium. So yes, dun, 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 dun. There you go. That was the theme from Superman, by the way.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
Sounded just like, oh, here's a shot after the rain.
There you go. This is from Ruth. A beautiful rainbow after a nice rain, and it's a bit of a double rainbow. You can see it there. So a lovely shot there, of course, over one of our beautiful fields here in Saskatchewan. Finally, from Randy, have you ever had the feeling you're being watched? Randy tells us this picture was taken northwest of Asquith on July 16th. Yes, and that was Randy's question about being watched. So, Randy, thank you for that shot. And if you'd like to send us an image, you can send it to cfqcnews@ctv.ca, and please put pick of the day in the subject line.
Still to come on CTV News, the Saskatoon Berries game gets postponed. And up next, a look at this Hot Wheels hub. A new community library has become a pit stop for Hot Wheels enthusiasts, where instead of books, toy cars are coming and going. CTV's Hafsa Arif has that story.
This isn't your average roadside library. Instead of flipping through pages, kids here flip open the door and swap toy cars.
So we've created a little community library, but instead of books, we're using Hot Wheels and Matchbox die-cast cars. So it allows kind of our kids to both get into the habit of sharing.
This father-son duo built it from scratch over a few weekends and one long day of painting. But it didn't take long for the wheels to start turning.
We saw this online, and my wife and my son kind of drew an interest to it. Our son loves Hot Wheels, he loves cars, so we thought, why not?
The rule is simple. Take one, leave one, which isn't always easy for a 4-year-old who's quite a collector himself.
It's a little tough when, 5 new cars show up the same day, and he really wants all 5, so it becomes a little bit of a battle. He understands that, other kids get to play with these too, and I think that helps.
This one glows in the dark. Since setting it up, the little car library has become a neighborhood hit. Dozens make pit stops to swap and donate cars.
So we see everything from, infants, little kids, and their parents, up to, tradesmen coming by with their trucks and vans and stopping by and dropping off vehicles for us.
Which for Arthur is a lot of fun and part of a daily ritual he looks forward to.
He loves to see the new cars. I mean, he loves his own vehicles, but you get new cars every day. You get to see what's there, and he gets to pick usually 1 or 2 a day to take out and replace with his own.
The father-son duo may have started with just 24 of Arthur's personal cars, but now this little box is bustling with community connection and imagination. One of the few places in the city where traffic isn't a problem. Hafsa Arif, CTV News, Cole Harbour.
When we come back, the Hilltops set their sights on a national title and a nod to the machines that changed farming.
All right, welcome back. We'll take a look at our rural forecast for tomorrow. So some places are going to be drying out a little bit as that system moves more towards the east, and that includes areas around Meadow Lake, Lloydminster, Kindersley, mainly cloudy skies, temperatures in the mid-20s. And then it cools off because as the system slowly moves to into Manitoba and Northern Ontario, still impacting other parts of our province. And as you can see, rain is in the forecast for many locations, and that includes places in southern Saskatchewan, pretty much ubiquitous right across the board there with some form of shower activity in southern Saskatchewan. Temperatures for the most part in the high teens, low 20s. And let's take a look at Asquith. 22 degrees tomorrow for a high with some shower activity. Winds out of the north at 20. So for the center of the British Empire, well, that's where internet plans of up to 1 gig are available from SaskTel.
Well, the Bats came out when they needed to, and the Saskatoon Berries have forced a deciding Game 3 in their East Division semifinal.
And this one hit well. It'll get into center field, and that's going to, well, score one, scores two.
The Berries pulled out to a 13-0 lead in the 6th inning before the Moose Jaw Miller Express could get a single runner home. The game ended with a 15-6 Berries win in Moose Jaw. Game 3 was scheduled for tonight at 7, but has been postponed to Saturday night at Cairns Field in Saskatoon. The winner will face the Regina Red Sox, who have swept Medicine Hat last night. The Saskatoon Hilltops begin their quest for a national championship this weekend when they head to Winnipeg. As Matt Young reports, this year's team includes a little Rough Riders experience.
It was amazing. Yeah, no, it was a great experience there. I couldn't have asked for a better time.
Jonathan Stevens in there, and unfortunately,
it's some green and white flavor mixed with blue and gold. Hilltops D lineman Jonathan Stevens says he's bringing his Riders preseason game and camp experience to the Saskatoon Hilltops this year.
You know, they're very technical there from the pros to here. It's never more apparent that 1 inch can make or break a play.
John's awesome. You know, as I say, such a great kid. He's had a great career here in All-Canadian, and for him to get that feather cap to go to Rider camp and perform as well as he did and then come back here.
The 6'2", 292-pound lineman says he learned a lot while spending time with the Rough Riders, and Coach Tom Sargent expects he'll be a major presence on a strong defense for the Hilltops.
As a Michaelic, who was an all-star last year on the home, is going to be unbelievable at the nose guard. Then you go, Jace Moles will be our shutdown corner. We got a lot of good players. You know, at the end of the day, defense should be a strength of this football team.
The Hilltops will see a changing of the guard on offense. With the departure of Trey Reeder, that means backup quarterbacks Brexton Elias, Charlie Mulder, or Hayden McMahon will have to step into the starting role. But head coach Tom Sargent is keeping his cards close to the vest.
They've all done the right things. They had great off seasons, and you know, we're sort of letting it all develop. And you know, ultimately, we're looking for someone to kick the door down and say, "Hey, this is my team."
And motivation is as high as ever after losing to the Regina Thunder in last year's conference title game.
Players have talked about it. We want a championship, and I think we're going to do anything we can to win that.
The Hilltops will open the regular season this weekend in Winnipeg before returning for their home opener on August 17th. Matt Young, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Coming up next, fighting food waste and hunger with this refrigerated shed. Then a look back at some vintage farm equipment.
Select Hair Services brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
A city in central Ohio has introduced its first Freege. That's what it says. There, see the spelling, doubly, Freege. It's a shed with a refrigerator and freezer offering produce, frozen meals, ice cream, and other items that can't be placed in a free pantry. The program's coordinator says it will not only help those facing food insecurity, but will also cut down on food waste. The Freege is looking for donations to keep it operational. So a good idea and a fun word to say. Go ahead, say it.
Freege.
Freege. There you go.
All right.
Okay, moving on. An agricultural museum in southern Alberta is showing off its vintage Caterpillar or cat equipment for the brand's 100th anniversary. Here's a look at the 55th annual show with live demonstrations of the vintage machinery. The cat equipment, famously bright yellow, is known for its traction over all sorts of surfaces. In the 1920s, Cat produced smaller equipment for farmers, which you can see here.
All right, then. Cool. All right, let's see if this works today.
Oh, sorry.
All right,
yes.
Exactly. Let's see if it works. Oh, great. It just fell off the... come on.
It was cool. I saw it very quickly. It was very cool. And
this was very cool, too, yes.
But tell us about where you got it.
Well, you know, I was out last night. I wanted to see the drone show and the fireworks the last night of the exhibition, so I got out my trusty phone and shot some pictures. And yes, a beautiful night. And I think the X had great weather. I'm not taking credit for it, but they dodged, the weather bullet, because last night, as Biff Naked was wrapping up her show, I think it was about an hour later that we had our big storm. So, and thanks to all these stormy weather people. Yes, they weather the storms of the news, and we want to thank them for helping us each and every day. And thank you for watching. And look at the drone show.
So
there
cool.
we go.
And Jeff, your little display, your show and tell, that was from the X as well.
That was from the X.
Okay.
That was from Doo Doo the Clown.
Okay.
There
I think
you go.
people might have been confused what you're doing there.
Exactly.
Just some context. Hey, these are beautiful shots.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Good night.